Hello, dear friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is news time again from this very good channel. Welcome back. How are you all doing? Hope you're good. I pray that God will be with you in your endeavors. Today, we have another update for you. And I want you to, after listening to it, you drop your opinion and suggestions you have so that Biafra will be free. And that's just it. Okay, let's go there. We know prophets that are true prophets when what they say come to pass, especially long-term prophecy. It comes to pass. Everything Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said has already come to pass. And you see, most of the prophets you see in churches today, they are just doing it for money's sake. They lie when they say expect this, it will happen. But you wait till thy kingdom come, it will not happen. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a true prophet, and when the Nigerian government get memo about that, and that is why his case is a very difficult one. They just have to release him to be free. Anybody that will lay hand on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, his or her generation will pay dearly for it. And I think that is what is keeping them from harming him. All right? I want to release the entire video and details of what is contained here so that you will get to the end of it and drop your opinion and suggestions. Thank you.
So for me, a Christian, I would say that Nnamdi Kanu is, more or less, more prophetic than most of our men of God out there. He said those things, they've come to pass. So 99% of what I said, we are seeing it play out in the real time. Having said that, I want to say that he's coming to court, and even the wisdom of his legal team allowing the case to go forward, I think is very novel, because if they didn't allow that case to go forward, we would have known the weapon of mass destruction which he had in the hotel room. We would have known what to wear. We would have known that he is the only one who is carrying out the so-called terrorism act, for which they've not been able to find anything concrete to hold on to. And we also would have known that indeed they have no story to tell, because that's the only reason why they're giving those guys a mask to wear. And then we'll also have known that the only evidence they have against him is an evidence as old as 10 years backwards, which they took from him in a hotel in Lagos, for which, in fact, he's not even in their original charge against him. So he's been allowed, or the case being allowed to go forward, will give us an insight.
Again, Eastern News 24. O kwuru another update ejimakia wee bịa edike nọ ife nwanne ikwu n'iru akwụkwọ abalulu ịbịakwu enukwu okwu aka ya nachita azụ kono ngekwu ya bụ nke a ejikọ maka ya wee bịa ị ga-esizi ebe ife dropụra ife channel dị nke gị.
Court case against Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. A government witness testified on Thursday that Kanu's radio broadcast may have contributed to some deadly violence. The witness, who works for Nigeria's Secret Police, DSS, told the court that Kanu's broadcasts were connected to the killing of Ahmed Gulak, a former top advisor to ex-President Goodluck Jonathan. The witness also said that Kanu's messages led to the deaths of a retired judge, Justice Stanley Nnamdi, and two members of the military, Sergeant Audu Lucas and Private Glory Matthew. He explained that his team was investigating these cases after receiving complaints from Nigeria's former Attorney General, Abubakar Malami. The witness said that Kanu, in one of his broadcasts, ordered his supporters to enforce a sit-at-home order across southeastern Nigeria. This order resulted in violent clashes and attacks on people who didn't obey, which the government believes had serious and deadly consequences, not just in the southeast, but also in Nigeria as a nation. Interestingly, we just have to talk about, let's look at the human angle and also the political angle to this particular one. Interesting, some persons are beginning to talk of the trials of Nnamdi Kanu also is ongoing. And before the court, it was agreed that witnesses that will be brought in to talk or to confess or to drop their witness against Nnamdi Kanu will be masked, and they'll also be shielded from the camera so that people will not know who they are, and security reasons were cited before that particular agreement was reached. And the council to Nnamdi Kanu accepted that, or those requirements. And also, they also believe that when it is time for them to seek for bail, that the federal government and their own council will also look also to that direction to grant them their own plea. But now that the DSS are beginning to talk about this, they're making mention of so many things. First was the broadcast. Second one was how he's been instigating persons or persons who happen to be his supporters to go on, to attack facilities. We have a report where it was also noted that some luxurious buses were also destroyed in Lagos. Police stations and Sele also were touched, all on the order of Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast and all that. And it's interesting to note that as counsel asked a question yesterday, how can someone who has been agitated, who has been talking about the Southeasterners now, still have his own wings spread to the point of getting to Lagos to cause issues? And that was pointed out that he made those statements during the hashtag End SARS protest. How possible is it that an individual, who has been talking about marginalization of his people in the southeast of Igbo extraction, will now wake up to make a call or run a broadcast that can make people in Lagos to start searching?
Well, the bottom line here is that a trial has started. I mean, a lot of people have called for a trial, and here we have it. A trial of Nnamdi Kanu has started. The one Isokoro SAN has joined Kanu's legal team, bringing the total number to 20. I think 7 SANs now and 20 in general. Everyone seems to be chiming in on this. Everyone wants to have a voice because it's beginning to look like the trial of the century, with allegations coming up, the court admitting in evidence equipment used by Kanu in his media broadcast, allegations coming up. Kanu himself, because, in as much as the witnesses are shielded from public view, he has access to them. From where he sits, he can see them, so he can identify. Kanu, after the last trial, Kanu said, "Look, this person they brought is not a DSS official." He's already pointed fingers that this person is a mercenary. They hired this person. He's not a DSS official. Of course, making statements through his lead counsel, Aloye Jimako. It's becoming very interesting, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they are tying all other occurrences around Nigeria to his broadcasts from the abroad where the broadcasts were made. They are tying, but a lot of people have said things also. Cases in court. I know we're looking at the case in court, but then as Nigerians, we know that certain people have said things using radio, using television, all right, to make statements, and then have we tied those statements to the breakdown of law and order in certain parts of the country? But then,
Yeah, exactly the point, because this thing is more like it's a political trial. Anyhow we look at it, it's a political trial. Talking about people who have made statements, Nnamdi Kanu said something and somebody was killed. Was it direct? Did he say go and kill this person? But we have also seen direct consequences, like you mentioned. In the lead up to the 2015 general election, Muhammad Buhari,
the popular one,
Muhammad Buhari, Nasir El-Rufai was in 2019. In 2015, in the lead up to it, Muhammad Buhari said, look, baboon and monkey will be soaked in their blood. And after that, there was rampage. Youth corps members that had gone to conduct elections for INEC were killed, murdered. Has Buhari been held to account for that? He has not. In 2019, El-Rufai said, foreign observers should be careful, otherwise they'll go home in body bags. Nobody's career has been damaged. Nobody's been arrested. Nobody's been prosecuted.
And after that statement was made, we saw that voters were attacked. Voters were attacked, some with bloody eyes and faces.
Even here in Lagos, people were stopped. They said, if you don't vote, don't go. And if you try, you face the consequences. And there were consequences. And at a point, Buhari said, look, your people are killing my people. People even went up, tried to get into ICC, you know, to petition Ihejirika and Jonathan and all of that. Yet, so everything, there's a cloak of politics around what is going on in Nnamdi Kanu's trial. You don't need to travel far to see all of that. So what it clearly tells me, and Moses, I keep asking the question that you asked. If you have 30 senior advocates of Nigeria, will it make a difference?
I was hoping you will help provide an answer.
No, I can't. No, clearly, I'm not sure it's going to make a difference.
Well,
because sure if you say it's going to make a difference, what it clearly tells you is that Aloy Jimako and co, the other 14 people, have not done a thorough job.
But I think you know that it was when the likes of Gabi joined as the Nnamdi Kanu's council that we got to hear him tender apology over the way he reacted to some judges, and he's been so vocal all this while. But
I don't think it has anything to do with.
I think it was because he was being addressed, or he was being advised, you know, to at least caution or mind the way he talk and the way he presents some of the things that he says.
So clearly, so that lends credence to the fact that it's a political trial.
Now, you know, Chuma, one thing that interests me was one of the words of the DSS were linking it to NSAS attack that happened in Lagos. I was hoping and believing that, they would have told Nigerians who ordered the shooting at Lekki Toll Gate, if they were able to find out that it was through Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast, you understand, that properties in Lagos have been destroyed. For example, they talked about 100 luxurious buses that were being destroyed in some parts of Murtala Mohammed Airport and all that. Celeb police station and all. I was expecting that they could tell Nigerians, what really happened at Lekki Toll Gate during that NSAS bad governance.
See, we have deeper problems. We have very big issues here in Nigeria because everything is ethnicized. Everything is ethnicized. I recall during the NSAS protests when vehicles were being destroyed, some individuals said, look, these are Igbos destroying properties in Lagos. But then when you look at those that were arrested, those that broke into Oba's palace in Lagos Island, were they Igbos? No, they weren't. I mean, they broke into the palace of the Oba. The Oba ran for their life, broke into the swimming pool, destroyed properties. Those were not
evils. The videos are there now.
Those were not evils. But people still churn out this narrative, and some people swallow it. It's unfortunate. We have bigger problems in this country.
Bigger problems indeed. Bigger problems because you see our fault lines keep widening every day. And I ask myself, the issues around this thing is clearly a problem of leadership. Because they are the ones that divide us the more. But I can't recall, for the life of me, like I keep saying, you have friends across ethnicities. And for a married man, if you are able to let your friend into your bedroom in your absence, that is the kind of... I'm not sure there's any measure of friendship that is much more than that.
That's a degree of trust.
That's a degree of trust. You get the point. So, but I told a story the other day about where I live. I asked the security man, there were two of them, I asked the senior one to let the junior one buy something for me. And the senior one said, oh, he is your brother. I said, my brother, what's his name? He said, his name is Chidi. I turned around, I said, I spoke in English, I said, Chidi, how are you? Apparently, why he told me that he's my brother is because he wanted me to speak to him in Igbo language. Okay. So when I now said, okay, Chidi, how are you? He said, he's very fine. Can you help me buy something? But before he left, I turned around and I said, Tunde, he's my brother, so what are you to me? At that point, he got stuck. You get the point. So the thing about brotherhood is not by ethnicity. It's about friendship. It's about humanity. The Ubuntu culture in South Africa, the rainbow country where you have multi-ethnic people living together. I keep saying, despite the divisions in the United States of America, America still parades the most diverse country in the world. People don't even understand that if you go to England, if you go to UK, you have the English, you have the Welsh, you have the Scots, even the Irish, they're able to live together. They have differences, but they are able to moderate and modulate all of these things. And I keep telling people, even in China, the Chinese are not purely of one ethnicity. They are ethnic Chinese, different ethnic Chinese. They have what they call it. If you go to those sub-countries where you have Chinese, they have what they call the Huareng Chinese, people that left China more like 800 years ago, but they all still identify as Chinese. So why can't we have that here and live as one people in our own homeland?
Can we live as one people?
Yeah, we should be able to do that.
We should be able to do that.
We should be able to do that.
Were we living as one people before now?
Let's speak honestly.
No, but it is worse now than it were in the 60s.
Okay,
well, going back
yes,
you're going back
yes,
to
I
traditional.
agree with you.
Yes,
it's worse. And
the first measure of Enugu City Council was an Hausa man. Can it happen now?
Imagine.
It cannot. Nnamdi Azikiwe won elections in the Western Region House of Assembly. Can it happen now? We have 3 Igbo people, Ebitu Kiwe and Nnamdi Kanu, as administrators of Lagos State. Can it happen now?
No.
It can. The first military administrator of Abia State was a Yoruba man. Temi Ejo. Can it happen now? It can't happen.
So the fault lines have widened. They've really widened. Now, if you go to the market, you need to learn to speak, the language of the person you're buying from. If not, they will not consider you a brother. In fact, selling to you will be a problem. They would want to cut corners. They would not want to even sell. The other day, I was asking Fina to teach me a few things in Hausa, and my reason is so that I can negotiate properly with the Hausa man that sells things down the road. Because when you go, he looks at you, and then if you go to the market,
first of all, profiles you.
Exactly. Yoruba person speaks Yoruba to you initially to see your reaction. If you respond in English and then the conversation changes
instantly.
The
price also.
The Igbo person sees you in the market, speaks Igbo to you, hey, Amaka, and then if you don't respond, conversation changes. But the Igbo man likes money, so regardless of where you're from,
he's going to sell. He's going to deal.
Yes, But anyway, these things affect us, and until we address that fundamental problem, I don't think Nigeria is going anywhere. Well, back to the Nnamdi Kanu's trial. We hear that Dr. Bright Onyevekuko joins the conversation. Let's see if we can establish contact with Dr. Bright and get his quick view before we segue into other conversations on our table this morning. It's a beautiful Friday, and of course, we wouldn't. Well, good morning to you, Dr. Bright Onyevekuko. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning, Mr. Moses, and
good morning to you.
Other.
How do I say good morning in your dialect?
Call.
That's not call. I'm Robo now.
Oh, okay.
Migwa.
Migwa. Oh well, our focus really this morning is on the trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And the evidences, the things put forward, and also the fact that his counsel is expanding. The lawyers that are fighting his case now are expanding, and also statements that have been made. In the general view of it, what would be your take? How would you assess the trial so far? We're not preempting the courts now, just assessing the trial so far.
Well, for a very long time, nothing has been heard beyond the fact that he was just detained. Now that the trial has started, I think it's a good one. But for Nigeria that we know, hope he does not get to a place, he plateaus, and we'll start asking what is happening. So now that it has started, let's just hope that it will go on to the end. So that's just all I will have to say.
All right then. Well, that's the hope of a lot of people. A justified end to the trial, long-awaited trial. So we'll just wait till it gets to the end.
All right. I would have loved to ask you, Dr. Bright, with the witnesses, the DSS witnesses, and the claims that you're making. They also pointed out the fact that his broadcast that the broadcast that he did during the hashtag #EndBadSARS or EndSARS governance also led to destruction of property in Lagos, even searching over some police station in Lagos State. Do you really think that such a thing can actually happen at this point in time, given the fact that #EndSARS happens to be a national thing? Could one man champion that alone?
Well, with or without apology, the characters or the activities of DSS, or rather some officers of the DSS, has not actually helped. If all the while that he has been kept in detention and somebody has to come up with a kind of flimsy maybe allegation, no one man in this country can say he was the one that orchestrated the EndSARS protest. It was a spontaneous thing, and that was why it even ended the way it ended, because there was no coordination. At the time people were trying to coordinate, it has already gone off. So for anybody to come up and say it was his broadcast, that one is something that should not be. It's just it's more of a malicious allegation.
Okay, all right. Dr. Brian, we see this trial going in this direction, but this is not the first time people have made statements and others were killed. Like, let's go back to the lead up to the 2015 general elections, and some set of people said that, look, if this election is rigged or if it is manipulated, monkeys and baboons will be soaked in their blood.
Baboons will be soaked in their blood. Yes.
And they also said that clearly, before then, they also had said that, look, they were going to make the country ungovernable.
Ungovernable.
And they did it. And up until this moment, nobody's career has been damaged. Nobody's been brought to book. Nobody's been prosecuted. So why is the government using that, as a stick to try Nnamdi Kanu? Does it look like we have different laws for different sets of people in the same country?
My boss once told me that we need to be careful, because some persons who are head-bent or destroying you, they can use the slightest excuse to do whatever thing they want to do. Yeah, some people make statements and they are being interpreted in one way or the other. But when someone makes statements, it begins to bring another picture based on analysis. And somebody will now ask, are we truly one Nigerian? Wherein some people from a certain part can say some things and they go free, and others have just the intention, they've not mentioned it, and you just hold them to ransom. So the law is clear, but nepotism has not made us to do the needful. So they are not above the law. It's just that some persons just choose to keep a blind eye to them because they don't want to do them anything.
Clear that he will soon be released, even sooner than expected. And that is for various reasons I have observed and I have seen, and it is clear as clean water. It's so obvious. And I'll be telling you the reasons why I think so in this video. So like and share this video and subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to leak a lot of secrets for you why Nnamdi Kanu will be released. Work with me. First of all, as you are aware, this is an accelerated trial. And since it's an accelerated trial, that means very soon it will be concluded. So, having said that, with all the evidences provided now as of today, it is clear that there is no case against Nnamdi Kanu. It's either the evidences are not sufficient enough, or Nnamdi Kanu's defense has been spot on enough. Because of all the questions he was asked, of all the videos that were played so far, and even the audio that was played so far, the responses he gave and the statements he made in all this video had nothing incriminating to him, had nothing incriminating on him. In fact, all the comments he made appeared more in self-defense. For those who listened to the previous videos and saw the analysis there, you will see that the statements and the interview and the audio that were displayed in the court And the words of Nnamdi Kanu showed a man that was standing in defense of his people. And you know that self-defense is an enshrined right in our constitution. There was nothing inciting in those videos, nothing that could stir, that was not aggravated. There was no direct approach or attack on any institution. Even the tapes were not incriminating in any way so far, which is very significant. Because many people portray Nnamdi Kanu as somebody who maybe has a lot of, violent, tapes or violent videos or violent approach. But the tapes so far played in this court of law seem to show a man who is just fighting for his people, and the method he did it, you may question the methods, but definitely it's left for the court to judge. But so far, there was nothing incriminating in those documents presented in the court so far. Also, Nnamdi Kanu said, when asked about Biafra, he said that he wants Biafra to come, but will not come in violence, but will come with a referendum. This was what he answered in court. And this is a very strong defense because, definitely speaking, many people attribute the violence going on in the Southeast with him trying to fight another civil war with Nigeria. And he debunks that by saying that he has always maintained that Biafra will come through a referendum. That is what he said, even in the court when he was asked, that he is non-violent approach and he is not going to, use that method, or other violent methods to achieve Biafra. That Biafra, there will be a referendum. And this is true because I know I have come across this statement lots of times, and many of you out there must have come across this concurrent statement. He has always been making the statement. And this statement now is going to play a very big role for him today because the court has listened to the tapes and heard it. And that is an affirmative statement that says that I want this in a peaceful way. And that is all what the court wants to know, whether he is for a peaceful way or a violent way. And if Nnamdi Kanu proves, which he has already been doing already with the statements made, that he is for a peaceful solution of, Biafra agitation, then the court is going to strike out this case. And this is also a reason why I'm telling you that Nnamdi Kanu is going to be victorious, because definitely he has proven to them that the Biafra he wants is going to be peaceful, referendum, and not violence. He also said that most of the violence that are happening in the Southeast is not of his making, because like he said, he's only one man. And one man cannot dictate for the whole Igbo race. That the Igbo people, or people of the Southeast generally, are Republican by nature, and they don't take orders from him. That was also a very smart statement he made, which will play a very big role. Because if he said that, yes, they took orders from him and this and this and this, definitely he will be in that web. But it's very, very true that Nnamdi Kanu definitely cannot just push somebody out of his house, from where he was giving his broadcast to go and do that thing. It's possible people can listen, but definitely this decision to do or not to do lies on the individual, And this is also a good reason why I think the judge, why Nnamdi Kanu will be freed, because he has absolved himself of all violence that happened, under, protest here or protest there. And when they wanted to rope him in with the formation of the ESN, they asked him about the ESN and what their functions are. He answered and said that this ESN was formed to protect the mothers in the farms and the children in the farms from attacks by the herdsmen. I know, we all know in Nigeria, we agree that these herdsmen are in our bushes and are in our farms. So definitely, why was the ESN created? It was created to protect our mothers and the bushes and the farms. Yes. But that's the truth. ESN is for the farms, truly. That was a brilliant answer. And that answer was on record. It will count for him, and the judge is going to strike out the case because of answers like this. These are the kind of answers that will make the judge strike out the case, and Nnamdi Kanu is going to walk free. That is the truth. Also, The masked witnesses that were brought into court, people thought that they were going to, reveal a lot of things, and they were there to shatter the table and everything. But so far, even the masked witnesses against Nnamdi Kanu have not been able to prove anything. They've brought nothing to show that they have against him. Leading to the reason why I say, why do they even wear masks in the first place? Because I was thinking that they had solid evidence to nail him. But the mask evidence just looked as if they just came there, and wore masks, and they couldn't say anything much, because so far we have not seen the reasons why they were made to wear those masks. So that means if masks evidence cannot bring strong evidence against Nnamdi Kanu, is it the ones who are not wearing masks that will bring evidence against him? That will bring damning evidence against him, rather? So that's it. The ones with masks are actually the ones that are even bringing more evidence and more statements that they don't want their face to be revealed. And so far, they have not even done that. They have not even brought any incriminating, any damning, statements from Nnamdi Kanu that is going to set this case against him. So far, the masked evidence, the masked witnesses have just, been basic. As good as basic, leaving to the, to me to argue, why are they even wearing masks? And if the masked witnesses are as basic as this, and didn't even bring any concrete evidence to nail this man, then the other witnesses who are not wearing masks, are they going to bring anything more than that? Are they going to do more than the masked witnesses? So this case looks actually in favor of Nnamdi Kanu. Also, during the video that was played in court, where Nnamdi Kanu was asked a question by the DSS, because they accused him of the DSS accused him in that interview of attacking security agents. Nnamdi Kanu asked the DSS official, say, if you are being attacked, if your people are being attacked by security operatives, are you going to fold your arms and watch? And the DSS operative, that is the interviewer, answered, no, I will not fold my hands and watch. So you see, even the security operatives, knows and that the guaranteed right of self-defense is enshrined in the Constitution. Because even now, many people go around wearing, police uniform, army uniform, committing crime here and there, using the names of our police and army to commit lots of crimes. I even saw a video the other day of some headsmen in the bush collecting ransom. They were putting on army uniform. And perhaps those people that were in captive there, they believed that they were army officers. That was why maybe their boss stopped or slowed down for them. And unfortunately, they were picked up by those kidnappers, and which landed them in the kidnappers' den because they were wearing uniform. So definitely, the security operatives have a duty to protect Nigerians of all ethnic groups, devoid of what this person is agitating for or not. When anybody feels threatened for his life, whether it is a security operative, whether it's a normal citizen, that person could resort to self-help. And that's what Nnamdi Kanu said in that interview, which I felt was a very strong defense, because that allegation has been heaping on his head for long, that he caused the demise of lots of security operative. With this, you can see that this case is tilting towards Nnamdi Kanu's favor. And even the previous government of Buhari knew that they didn't have much case against this man. That was why they applied delay tactics of postponement, of adjournment, of delay, of frustration. It's very obvious. If you have a case against somebody, why will you use delay tactics? Why? Why wouldn't you just carry on the case just like the way it is done now? Why wouldn't you carry on the case and see it to its logical conclusion and sentence this man to prison or release him? Because you have a case. So under Buhari, it was obvious that Nnamdi Kanu should have been released. In fact, like I said, many courts have even granted him release. But under Buhari, they still held this man back. This is another reason why I say this dispensation now seems to be, rushing this case to carry it out to its logical conclusion, so that whatever is going to happen definitely will happen, and they will see it to the end than keeping this man in custody.